Well, it's the big breaking news at this hour. Vedanta Resources, which is the parent company of Vedanta, has approved the merger agreement and the revised merger of Cairn and Vedanta. We're going to get you very important voices in just a bit, but just let's quickly run you through what's happened so far. Remember, in July, both Vedanta and Cairn had revised the terms of the merger. So the proposed offer essentially gave a swap ratio of about 1:1. Cairn India shareholders will receive about 4 Vedanta shareholders, Vedanta shares. We'll get you the revised graphics over there. The point of the merger largely is that after the Sweetened agreement, Vedanta Resources shareholders have approved and have given their nod to the deal. Now, Cairn shareholders are still remaining. Cairn EGM is expected on the 8th of September. What we do understand is that so far the two major shareholders, which includes LIC, which has about 9% in Cairn and about 3.4% held by Cairn PLC. We do understand that there has been some form of a nod that has already been communicated to the Vedanta and Cairn management, and that is very, very crucial. So once Cairn EGM approves the merger, only then will we see a final decision being taken, and post that, once the court nods come in, the merged entity will be completed, or the merger will be completed. We will get you very important management voices in just a bit, but let's bring in Amit Tandon of IIAS. Mr. Tandon, thanks for joining in. You know, when the revised proposal had come in, when the merger contours had been sweetened, we were talking about how it may be a negative for some Vedanta shareholders. What do you think would be the key factors, and can I just assume that LIC and Cairn PLC have given the nod?
Look, at this moment, if you recall, that it's shareholders of both Vedanta as well as Cairn need to approve the transaction.
Yeah.
The deadline, of course, was e-voting date is, of course, the deadline is 7th. So what you would expect is that the markets were always expecting that the Vedanta shareholders would approve the transaction. The doubt was what was going to happen with Cairn. And as you rightly point out, there are two large shareholders in Cairn. India, which is Cairn PLC, that is the entity which sold its shares in Cairn India to the Vedanta Group, as well as LIC, both of whom hold roughly about a little over 9% of the equity each. So the question to ask is whether they're going to approve the transaction or not. My sense, and the sense we've had all along, is that as far as Vedanta is concerned and the Vedanta shareholders are concerned, it's pretty much a done deal. And what you've just said, I haven't seen the outcome. I don't know whether it's been announced to the exchanges and where this information is coming from, but it's kind of pretty much what was expected all along at this stage.
So what would be the concerns that Cairn India shareholders would have immediately?
Well, I think the big concern which shareholders of Cairn India have is that...
Mr. Tandon, I'll just ask you to hang in on the phone line. We have the man of the moment, the chairman of Vedanta Group, Anil Agarwal, joins in now on the phone line. Mr. Agarwal, appreciate you joining in on the phone line. First of all, congratulations. The EGM of Vedanta Resources has cleared the deal. How confident are you that the Cairn shareholders will also give their blessings?
Yeah, they have, Vedanta PLC has 100%, 100% is very rare, has approved this, and we have, it is very advantageous to Cairn India shareholder to go with this deal, because it is advantageous for them. It's a risk adverse, it's diversified with the oil price. This is the best thing to be done to create a natural resource company, and as you've seen, the share price has appreciated on this move, and they believe it is going to happen.
Yeah.
In just few days, it's going to happen next week. So this week and the next week. So I hope everything work out well.
Sir, can you walk us through what was discussed in the EGM, what was discussed with the shareholders of Vedanta Resources today?
Yeah, this is they all understand to to create a natural diversified company out of India. As you have a BHP, you have a Vale, you have Anglo, and it was absolutely, they understand such a large country to have a natural resource company, and merging this company is the best thing for the two shareholders. So this was discussed, and it is 100%, not 99, 100% shareholder has come forward and approved this, and now the Cairn India, I think one is on 8th and one is on 12th. So this, I believe, and this is in the interest of the all shareholder to go ahead and create this.
Mr. Agarwal, now that you are preparing for the Cairn EGM, have there been any concerns raised by the shareholders? You've been talking to the large shareholders, some of the larger ones, including LIC and Cairn PLC. Any kind of concerns that have been raised so far by the larger shareholders?
See, this is a very open and transparent process. We have said what is the rationale about it, and they all appreciate and they all believe that the value will be created. This is the best thing to be done, and that's what we have done, and we have shown them how the market has moved up, because on the basis of how this two company will merge, and that's what the market is considering. And at the same time, it's a risk averse, where you have a copper asset, you have an aluminum asset, you have a zinc asset, and then you have oil and gas. Putting together is the best thing to be done. So I believe this is the best thing for both the shareholders.
That's very important, Mr. Agarwal. So you are saying that the shareholders of Cairn India as well are on board with the deal?
This is see, the vote has to take place as it has happened for the Vedanta PLC, and that's what we believe. The process has to take place, and we have done, and I believe this is the best thing to be done to happen for the Cairn India shareholder also.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, we were talking on the channel and, assessing the deal. As you were pointing out, this is a broader vision that you have for the merged entity. What has been the conversation so far with LIC and Cairn PLC specifically? Because their nod and their blessings will, of course, be crucial for the deal to eventually go through.
Yeah, it's not the... they all want to create a shareholder value. India is a growing country. There's so much is happening in India. This is one of the small things is happening. A lot more has to happen, and they all believe in this process to create more value, to create more production, to have a stronger balance sheet. This is the right thing to be done. So which we have presented, and they can see clearly the value. It's right there. That is we have given a tremendous value for the Cairn India shareholder, and it is in the interest of the country, in the interest of the shareholder to go ahead. That's what we can do. We can't take them anything in advance, what they want to do.
Mr. Agarwal, was there any concern raised today by the shareholder with respect to ongoing litigation, or do you foresee any concerns by the shareholders of Cairn India?
You have asked me 3 or 4 times, and I have said the same thing, that this is what we are presenting, and this is what we are saying, and this is what is the position. And I believe what has happened today should happen to the Cairn India shareholder also.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, the broader vision that you have is to create a merged entity, a conglomerate that consolidates a larger behemoth, as you were pointing out. What is the timeline that you're looking at by when you would be ready with the merged entity?
Yeah, I think once when the voting is take place, then will the process is to some process has to take place, and it should be ready in a couple of months.
So by the end of this calendar year, Mr. Agarwal, would you say that
it should be
completed? Okay. So what's the next step, Mr. Agarwal, for you now that you are very close to completing the merger? It's been about a year of preparation. It's been a year of consolidating everything. What is the next step
if you're working in a developing nation, it takes time. You have to have a patience.
Yeah.
You just can't be impatient that it has to be done today. I give a few more years, things will be more faster. But we understand it's taken a little bit longer time.
Yeah.
But it's on the right track.
Absolutely. So what's the next step, Mr. Agarwal? Now that the merger is almost about to be completed, what's the next step once the merger is actually completed?
Once the shareholder approves, I think the court proceeding will be in place. The SEBI has to approve. There's some normal process which will take a couple of months.
Okay. You know, a conversation that we were having, Mr. Agarwal, when the deal was sweetened as well, when we had discussed in depth about your vision. I think we've lost Mr. Agarwal on the phone line. We still have Amit Tandon with us. Amit, you heard from the man of the moment. There seems to be no immediate concerns. He's reiterated several times that shareholders of Cairn are on board. Your reaction?
Look, as I said, I was talking earlier, so, you now need the approval of the Cairn India shareholders as well as the Vedanta India shareholders other than PLC. So those shareholders of PLC, I presume, were giving their in-principle approval. As I said, the Vedanta shareholders are a lot more sanguine about the transaction. They would be quite happy to see it go through. The concern which the Cairn India shareholders have, at least I'd say some of them have, is the fact that they want to be invested in a pure play exploration and production company, and their view is that by the merger, that is lost. They are then getting into a commodity, which is, as Mr. Agarwal said, his vision, that there is a company which is in the entire commodity cycle, which includes not just oil and gas, but ferrous and non-ferrous metals as well. So there is a difference in terms of which is the company the nature of the company you invest in. And I guess that's at the heart of the difference between the two approaches or the two visions. I would, for the record and for the benefit of your viewers, say that, as a voting advisory firm, our view was that the transaction is okay. Some of the concerns which Cairn shareholders have, particularly with regard to use of cash, etc., are a bit overdone at this stage. And just given the fact that you now have shares in a larger and more diversified company, as things look just now, we are pretty comfortable with the transaction.
Would this in any way, from a shareholder perspective, would this in any way dilute the broader, you're very focused on a metal and mining company, you're focused on aluminium, now bringing oil and gas, already volatile sector, into the play. Wouldn't shareholders have a concern that this dilutes the whole perspective?
Look, I think this is, the question is that there are two different models. One is pure play metals, and earlier you had ferrous and non-ferrous, and then you had oil and gas separately. What we've seen recently is there is this attempt to combine the two businesses, which is the oil with the ferrous and non-ferrous metal. Now, clearly, it's not something which is well accepted, but having said so, it's not a business model which is completely unknown at this moment. So there are a couple of global players who have actually embarked on this. In this, it's very difficult to say whether it will not work, just like it's very difficult at this stage to say that, look, this is the only thing it will work. And a lot of it is a function in terms of where the different businesses are in their commodity cycle.
And by the looks of it, Amit, at least in the immediate term, shareholders seem to be fairly on board, and the revised merger contours that they had come up with were after taking Cairn PLC and LIC's informal conversations at least into account. Amit Tandon, thank you so much for joining in. We had a very detailed discussion with Anil Agarwal as well on what lies ahead, and by the looks of it, perhaps Cairn PLC and LIC could be on board, given the fact that he's confident Cairn India shareholders should approve the merger. We'll, of course, know on the 8th of September and simultaneously on the 12th, after which there are court approvals that are very necessary, and then the deal will be done. By December end is what Mr. Agarwal had hinted to for the merger to eventually go through. We're completely out of time.